as you guys know, I love a good spreadsheet model, but today I'm taking a step back and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to make one from scratch. It's a very simple Poisson distribution model. It's not even remotely difficult to make. I wouldn't normally go for this model, but yeah, I'm going to show you guys how exactly you can do this. This is just an example of a model you can make. This doesn't mean it has to be this model, but let me just show you how this is going to work. Let's just go France and we're going to press search league just as a demonstration of what we're going to be doing. Once this loads, as you can see here, it has updated, and then we can just change the games by changing the date to the chosen date we want. So you want the 3rd of the 11th, then the game on that date will be PSG Montpellier, and it'll update there accordingly for the overs, the unders, and the home, draw, away, both teams to score, and even the correct score market there as well. So I'll show you guys from scratch how to make this in a little follow along. Let's go. So the first thing I want you to do is literally just open up a new Excel file in there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to this thing called website plus markets website. I'm going to show you exactly what Poisson distribution is and how you can predict it from scratch. So essentially, Poisson distribution is count data based off average values. So we're going to look for the average league totals basically, and then you want to. This is the brief overview. I'll show you exactly what I mean in a minute. Average number of goals scored by the home team at home, and then you want the away team. Then you can essentially from there calculate home attacking strengths, defense attacking strengths. You can read all this in Smarkets if you want. This is just a small example, and then from there you can predict the outcomes of the specific events. But now what I'm going to do to you is I'm going to really quickly show you how we can access this data and what it means. So we're going to be using we're going to use a website called Soccer Stats for this. You can use a thing called Footy Stats, which is very similar, but you have to sometimes have to read it to scrape the data live. You have to have a membership, and obviously a lot of you guys won't be paying as part of that. So say we choose the Premier League. Actually, we'll go for France for the League One market, because we've obviously opened that on the spreadsheet there. Let's say, for example, PSG Montpellier. What we can do is we can go to statistics and we want to go to scored/conceded. Then what we'll be scraping in essentially is these two columns here. So the home average scored for the whole league is 1.55. The away average scored for the league is 1.14. And obviously, home average conceded is just 1.14 because that is the average away scored, obviously. Okay, average away conceded is the same as the average home conceded is the same as average away scored, obviously. Um, then we can also get the individual team ones here as well. So let me just explain to you from the start how this works before I start scraping it. So let's just do one manually, for example. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is just from scratch how we would do this without doing it just by doing it manually, just to show you guys how it works. Then in a minute, we'll be scraping this data live from the web. I think I've spelled that right. Hopefully I have Montpellier. Hopefully that's spelled right. But what we're going to do is show you from scratch. So we're going to do is do the average home scored for the league, average away scored for the league, average home conceded for the league, and average away conceded for the league averages. Obviously, the home conceded will be the away scored, and the away conceded will be the average home scored. And the average home goals scored in the league is 1.55 per game, and the average away scored in the league is 1.14, as you can see there. So that is updated. Now, what we need to do is look at PSG. So, well, that's the specifics for the game. So, what we're going to do for this just equals concat, okay? Then we want text one, which is going to be PSG, or the specific home team, comma, and then we want home scored, like that. But obviously, you want to remember the space in there. So average PSG home scored. And then what we're going to do again there is just copy and paste this into the next cell, because obviously you want this to be for B1. Then what we're going to do is copy these two over again into there. But essentially, what we want to change is home scored to away conceded. So we're just going to copy these over. This will not do absolute value, so it's going to reference it to be C1 and D1, obviously, but we'll change this to A1 and B1 in there again. But we're going to change that to HC, AC, and AS. So now what we have just now is we have the PSG average home goals scored, which you can take from here. So home PSG average home goals scored is 2.4, as you can see there, and average Montpellier So as home, average PSG goals conceded, would be 0.8, as you can see here. Then we go to Montpellier, so we go away. We see Montpellier here. Average home away goals scored is 1.8. It's quite high actually, but the average conceded is 1.2. Okay, so now what we're going to do, if we go back to here, then remember that where is it? The home team's attack strength is the number of goals scored last season by the home team divided by the number of home games played, and then essentially you want to times that by the average number here. So let me show you in a minute. So essentially we're comparing it to the average. So the home team attacking strength, so that would equals concat PSG, comma ATT STR, so attacking strength. But obviously I'm going to change this to a lowercase in there as well. So PSG attacking strength. And then we're going to just copy this whole thing over here and change this to defensive strength with DEF strength, and then obviously the same thing again. We'll just do this over there. So Montpellier attack strength and PSG Montpellier defensive strength in there. Then what we're going to do is the PSG attacking strength, if we go back to here, as I just said a minute ago, is home team's average divided by their average league home one. So what we're going to do is plus 2.4 divided by 1.55. So the higher the attacking strength, the better the team are attacking. In the same sense, Montpellier's attacking strength would equal 1.8 divided by 1.14. So they are also over average. Then we can just copy this all over across there as well. So, and all the way to the end. So PSG's defensive strength is 0.7. But in this instance, defensive strength being lower is actually better because you can see it in less goals than the average team. Then, to get the average number of goals scored for PSG, which is going to be this column here, the average that we expect to get is just going to equal PSG's attacking strength times by Montpellier's defensive strength times by the average number of home goals scored, which is 1.55, which will get us a value of 1.858, which will be shown, where was it they show it? Projecting expected away goals, whatever. This is exactly what they show here in there. So away team attacking strength, home team defensive, times by average number of away goals. So the same thing for this one here. So for Montpellier, we're going to do Montpellier's attack times by PSG's defense times by 1.14. So we expect it to be 1.85 to 1.26. Okay, so that's the simple method. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do Poisson distribution here. So equals PSG, and we're going to have Montpellier, but obviously in this instance, so I need to keep it as that, and equals that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have the number of goals scored here. So we're going to have goals probability. Now what we can do is just copy this over, and we want to repeat that over there. Then the goals, we're going to go from like 0 through to 6, I think is probably the easiest way. And we'll do the same on here as well. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the probability is going to be based off Poisson distribution, okay? So equals Poisson distribution, which basically count data. Our x value is the 0, given that the mean, we've calculated the mean to be 1.85, and cumulative just that to equal to false, because we don't want adding up. So what that would do is it would do 0, for 1 it would do 0 plus 1, or for 5 it would be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. We don't want that. So there you go. What we're going to do is we're going to keep that A2 value as common. So by doing that, that essentially makes it absolute value, it won't change because our mean obviously stays the same. And if we drag this down all the way to 6, that should fill it in. That should almost equal 100% because the chance of PSG scoring more than 6 goals is very slim. So we get 0.996, which we're very happy with. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this over to here, except I'm going to change this column here to B2, which is our average for Montpellier, and then we can just drag this down again. So there you go. Now we've got the average probability of each team scoring a certain number of goals. Then what we can do is essentially make a bit of a diagram. So I need to make this full screen here, makes it a bit more easy to look at. And what we're going to do is we're going to have our home team over on this side, and we're going to have the away team on this side, so in there like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have just over here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the number of goals the team expected to score. There's for Montpellier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this instance, this column here will be 0-0, 1-1. This would be 2-0 PSG, etc. So to work this out, it's very, very simple. So 0-0 will just equal that times by that. Probability of PSG scoring 0 times by the probability of Montpellier scoring 0, which gives us 0.044. Then what we can do to make this really, really quick to complete, obviously that will be from a Montpellier fixed at 0, so we're just going to fix this value here to be D15, and then we can just do this, and then we can just drag it all the way down like that. And then what we can do is we can keep B15 common now, so if we make B15 stay the same, D15 to change, then obviously that means that this B15 value will copy all the way down. So the faster way I think of doing this is just to copy that exact formula there. What we're going to do is we're going to go along here and we're going to just change that to 16, copy and paste 17, I'll show you why in 2 moments there, 18, 19, 20, and then 21 should be our last one, hopefully. So this should be equal to this value here. Perfect. So that would be 6-0 to Montpellier. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make all of those D values absolute values like we did just before, like that. I'm just going to copy that all the way down and do the same again for all of these in here and copy that all the way down and copy that. Obviously, this bit is probably just quite tedious for you. Listen to me say copy that all the way down again. But that is the truth of it. Obviously, as long as you're following along, you shouldn't be too bored. So we have that one, and we'll just do that one. And then we can copy both of those all of the way down like that. Now what we're going to do is just for simplicity reasons, we're going to color code these because it makes it a lot easier for us to be able to see which ones we want. So we're going to copy all of these ones which is where PSG will win the game. So that's 1-0, down 2-1 downwards, 3-2 downwards, 4-3 downwards, 5-4 downwards, and 6-5. And we're going to make this, we're going to fill this in to be red. We're then going to do the exact same with Montpellier winning. And we're going to just, my mistake, all the way along from there, and then we're going to get this one. I did not do that. Give me a second, guys, because I don't know why it's doing that. There you go, that's better. Just them ones there. 3-2 in there again. 4-3, and you get the gist now. 5-4, 6-5. We're going to make them ones green so they stand out completely against each other. Just in there, and then the ones in the middle, obviously all the ones that are a draw, so we're going to set them equal to yellow. So there you go, select all of them, and we're going to filter them as yellow. Right, the final thing we're going to do is we want the most likely outcome to be shown in blue, just so it's really obvious what we expect to see. So we can do equals max of this. So set your range equal to all of this, and we're going to close it off, and our max is 0.103. And what we're going to do is we're going to select all this again, and we're going to go to conditional format, and up here, we're going to go to new rule, and we're going to go cells that contain a cell value equal to, and we're just going to select this one just here. We're going to press down there. I'm going to format that as blue, so it's very obvious which one is the most likely outcome. So I press OK. Now we can see 1-1 is the most likely result in this case. Okay. Now I'm going to show you guys that this should match exactly to what the spreadsheet that I already had that is automated from the web should say. So if we go to our correct score, as you can see here, if I zoom out of that one and that one and put them, actually I'll zoom into this one a bit better so you can see them side by side. We have 0.044, 0.044, 0.55, 1.03. Everything is exactly the same as it would be online, except this zoomed in ever so slightly, so it's less decimal digits. So that means that we've been able to do it manually, which is really, really good. But obviously, in terms of time efficiency, it's not the best thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys from the table here with all of the scores how we can get all of these data, the over, under, whatever, and the home to draw away. And then after that, I'll show you how to automate this all from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go for the overs and unders in there. So we'll go in here and we're just going to keep it all on one page so we can see it all together. And we're going to go for the over here, and then we'll go under. So we'll go for 0. We'll put 0.5 in there, 1.5, 2.5, and we'll go to a 3.5. So the under 0.5 goals for the probabilities clearly just when it's nil-nil, because that's the only case is under. And to essentially calculate the over is just 1 minus the under, like that, okay? The under 1.5 can be calculated as the sum, if I could spell, sum of nil-nil, 1-0, and 1-0-1, okay? So that would equal that. And again, this would just equal 1 minus, but I'll copy that down in a minute. Under 2.5 is clearly just 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 0-1, 1-1, and 0-2 are the only options. And finally, the under 3.5 would clearly equal 0-0 down to 0-3, so 0-0 down to 3-0, 1-0-1 to 1-2, like that. There you go. And finally 0-3, and that's all of our options for under 3.5. Then what we do is obviously just drag this down because it's 1 minus for all of these. And again, what we'll do now is we'll just compare this to our values we had before. So there you go. If I zoom in heavily there, you can see the over 0.5 is equal to 0.955, over 1.5, 0.81, etc., etc., which is perfect. Then what we can do is if we stay in here, what we're going to do is we're going to do the home, draw, and away. So the home value is just going to equal, so home, draw, and away. So home, draw, away. So obviously, the probability of a home, given all the data that we have, is just equal to the sum of all of the home ones, so all of the red ones. So we're going to just sum this, this, this. You get the gist. All of the red ones, like that. And that should be all of our reds in there. Sum that up. Then the away we'll do next is all of the green ones. So it's just this. Again, you get the gist. I'm just going to fly through this without speaking because I'm just going to be saying add this constantly, which is quite irritating. And then finally, of our draw ones, that just equals the sum of the diagonals. So you could just do that as sum diag, but I'll just do this in here as the yellow ones. Obviously, that blue one would have been yellow, but it's the most likely outcome. So, as you can see there, if I just press that, we get all these values. So again, if I compare that to what we had over here, our home probability was 51%. Over here, as you can see there, 51%, which happens to be the exact same as this, 22% and 25.9%. So that means our spreadsheet has worked perfectly. The last thing to do is both teams to score, so we can easily do that. So if we go again over here, BTTS stands for both teams to score. We're going to have yes, no. The probability of both teams not scoring is the easy way to do this. So both teams not to score would equal 0-0 to 0-6 plus 1-0, 0-1 to 0-6 again, or whatever. I butchered the 0-0 to 6-0 plus 0-1 to 0-6 is all the combinations where one of the teams doesn't score. And then obviously the probability of yes would just equal 1 minus that again, and there you go. That is the both teams to score done in there again, which should, as I say, match perfectly with what we had over here, 60% and 39% in there. Okay, so as you've seen, we've now been able to do all of this manually without even having to automate, which is pretty cool. Basically, what I'm showing you is that you understand all the maths behind it, which is the most important bit. But I think what you're here for is to get it automated so we can get everything a lot quicker. So, as I showed you before, this is the website we're getting all the stuff from, which is soccerstats.com. I'm going to show you now how you can read all that in real time using Excel. And what we want to do is essentially fill up these numbers here with numbers from the data. So let's go. So the first thing I want you to do is to open a new sheet here. We'll call the first sheet dashboard because that's probably the best name to give it. Because that's on. Actually, that's not a dashboard, but that's by the by. In sheet 2, we want to call this URL. So if you're going to call that URL, then what we're going to do is we're going to make a table called URL. Okay. And in this table, we want this to equal hyperlink. Okay. And that's essentially going to be a hyperlink to a location. And in the hyperlink, we want essentially this table here. So we're going to copy and paste the URL. You can't quite see it. So say for France, and then we're going to just put that into here. So there in there. I forgot the speech marks that I need. So and we're going to close it off there as well. There you go. So that is our URL. I don't think it has a bracket at the end. I don't know why that bracket's there at the end. Oh, yeah, that's fine. There you go. So that should take us, if I was to run this right now, and I was to open it, then it should open the same page. Perfect. So what we're going to do for this is we want to make this a table. So we're going to go insert, and then we want to make it a table. So table and table. My table has headers. Perfect. Then what we're going to do, this bit's really, really complicated. So I'm going to walk you through this really, really slowly in there. So I want you to go to the data tab, okay, at the top. And then if you can see that, it should be up there. You can't quite see it on my screen. Go to the data tab. Then what we need to do is to hover over this table. We're going to press get table, so get data, right? What you'll see here is there is a from table / range. I want you to press that in there. This should open your Power Query editor. Okay, so we'll let this open. Then what we want to do is you want to go to view and advanced editor. You want to press that, okay? Now that you're on the advanced query editor, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So our table is obviously called table 1. We want to essentially get the web data from it. So I'm going to just copy and paste. This is the data that you need, but this is for table number 1. So we're going to do the source is Excel current workbook, table 1 contents. That's the content from table 1, which is obviously the table that has the URL in it. Get web contents means get web contents, table first value source. Obviously, that's the first value in our table, which is going to be the URL. And then the imported HTML should therefore get the web page contents for us. So we press done in here. Once that runs, we press continue in there. And what I'll do is I'll just say public, and that should be fine. And current workbook public, because no one's going to see it anyway. So what I'll do, I'll just press ignore privacy levels just for the time being. But you choose the levels that you want to do in there. Normally you have to just let it do it because that's the only way you can connect to the internet. It generally won't mean a thing. What we're going to do now is you'll see here it looks very, very confusing. But if I was to press on these tables, this is the table that we can see, which is the league table. The next one we have is the average, but this one here, I'll make this a little bit bigger in there. This is the average, as in the, show you on here. This is the average you see here. So 1.11 it should be for the first teams for Brest in here. But that's not the one we want, home and away specifics. So what you'll see is this is actually this one here. I didn't mean to press on that fully. I'm gonna press there, change type and data back to imported HTML, sorry. This one here should have Brest 1.4 and then 1.2, which should be our home. There you go. And then the one after it should be the home and away, so the away data that we need. Perfect. So what we're going to do is this one here was our home data. I want you to right click on that one there and then add as new query. Okay, so that query is now called data. Go back to table number 1 and then we're going to press on the next one, which I need to remember which one it is. I think it's this one here. We need is the away one. 0.8 and 1 should be the away. If we go in here, 0.8 and 1 is the away. I want you again to right click on that and add as new query, and that'll be called data number 2. Now, if you go back to home, you can press close and load in there. And what this will do is this will open the spreadsheets that we need. I'll let you know once it loads. This could take quite a while because we are scraping live from the web, but there you go. So now we have two things here. One that's called data, which is the home data, and one which is called data 2. So I'm going to call data home, and I'm going to call data 2 away in there. Perfect. table 1, we don't need that, so we're going to just hide that for now because that is not important. But now you'll see that what we can do, and this is the beauty, is the average home league scored at 1.5, we can then change this, okay? So we can go equals x lookup, okay? A lookup value equals avg dot, I think it's avg dot league, we'll see what they called it in there. League dot avg, sorry. So if you go on league avg, is that a dot in there as well? Something did I say? League, oh dear me, avg dot in there. And we want to look that up within the array, which is home, and we want to go for, move that out of the way, we want that in this column, so as you can see here, league avg, and we want column number 6, but we're not going to need that, we're actually going to do this as f, because what we'll do there is, if the number of teams changes, it might change. This would give us 1.55 like we had before. Perfect. Then what we can do for the 1.14, we do the exact same, so we're going to copy that over. But the average league scored is the average home conceded, so rather than having column F, we want column H, and this should then give us 1.14 as required. Now what we're going to do for PSG, home average scored, it's going to be the exact same as the league average, except our lookup value now, rather than being league average, is now literally going to be PSG, but we're going to pick A1. I'm going to show you why in a minute. So I'm lying to you. PSG. Oh, that's because they've got a different name in here. I'll show you why in a second. It's Paris SG. So we're going to change this to Paris SG because I'll get it to read it in automatically in a minute. 2.4 as we needed. And then again, what we're going to do here is for the PSG conceded, we're going to change that F column to H in there, like so, 0.8. Then what we'll do is here, we're going to do the same for Montpellier, but this now we're going to have B1. And rather than having home G, we want away G. So like this, away. There you go. So that obviously has not worked again there because Montpellier's name will be slightly different. Let me just copy that exact value over. And we're going to put that into there so I can actually spell it correctly. There you go. So 1.8 that we needed there. And then again, we'll copy this over just to here. And we want this to be column H. Again, there you go. So that means we've got all the data we needed. And now, obviously, the rest of it just takes the values as that. But the question I'd be asking is, why does it have to be this league? Well, here comes the beautiful bit. So what we can do now is I'm going to make a little list here called leagues. Say we want the top 5 leagues, right? We want the Premier League, Liga 1, Bundesliga, Serie A, and La Liga. I'm going to call them different names, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It's basically because the URL that this reads in, as you can see here, has this as league equals France rather than league equals Ligue 1. So our leagues we're going to have is England, France, Germany, Italy, Spain. I think I've done an alphabetical order, hopefully, just because it looks better. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make that into a table. So I'm going to insert, I'd love to, but recording's in the way. There you go. Insert, table. Table has headers. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of the countries that we have. And essentially, we're going to go to home. Perfect. And what we're going to do is, see what this says, table 5? We're going to name them as leagues, okay? Just for future reference, so we have that named as leagues. So the name manager should have that saved as leagues. Okay, but the table should still be called, hopefully, table 5. Just, yep, that's fine. We just only change that little cell reference there, where these values are equal to leagues. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the dashboard, and we're going to let the people choose the league they want. So this one's going to look quite messy just for now, but again, I'll improve the look in a minute. So league, obviously here, we want this league to equal a drop-down list of all the leagues. So we're going to go to data, then data validation, and you want list. Once you get to here, you want to go source equals, and this is where we're going to say equals leagues. So equals leagues. And then now you should have a drop-down list of all of the leagues you want. So Germany, Italy, whatever. What we're going to do now is once we've picked that, we then want to change this. So our France thing should be no more because we don't specifically want it to be France. That was just in this instance. So we're going to get rid of that. Then we're going to put a speech mark. Then we're going to put and, okay? So we want and symbol and dashboard M1. Then we want and speech marks, and that should be us back. So we're going speech marks and dashboard M1 and speech marks, then back to normal, and that should do this. Bam, so that's changed to Germany. Okay, so now the beauty now is I can refresh that. So if I look at these, it currently has the French league in, but if I was to then change, for example, if I was to go refresh all, but I'm going to show you what that means in a second. So if I press refresh all, what that's going to do is that's going to refresh all of the queries, and the query, remember what we did was to get these data. So if I press refresh all now, watch what this does now. So it'll run for quite a while, as you can see, running back one query. Once this loads, what we're going to do is we're going to look at home and away, and you'll see exactly what I mean in a minute, how cool this is. So again, this may take a while. But once it's done, there you go. So it's done now, but look at home. Now has all of the Bundesliga data, and away also has all of the Bundesliga data, which is really, really useful. Obviously, clearly it means now this will be broken, but we don't want PSG versus Montpellier anymore. Say we want a team from the Bundesliga, so we could just do this as, say for example, we had columns G4 equal to G21 named as teams or whatever, I don't know. Let's just say in here, rather than having these two teams, you want data validation to be a list. I'm not going to do this for the actual one, I'll show you what we're going to do in a minute. And the source could just be, let's go home, all of the teams in here. So all of these teams there. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy that over to here. And then now we can just pick two teams. So say we want the weekend is Dortmund versus Bayern. So you can have Dortmund against Bayern. So Bayern Munich. And then bam, 1-0 Bayern's expected number of goals. So that's exactly how this works in there. So as you can see now, we've automated it. So what we're going to do to make it even better is we're going to go to developer tab, and we're going to go insert, okay? I'm going to insert a button now, which means that once you've selected the league to be Germany, we're going to have this macro to be called refresh, but different refresh to that one. And then we're going to press OK. And what we're going to do for this one is we're going to record the macro really quickly to basically be when we're refreshing something, okay? So we're going to go record macro called refresh. I don't know why I named that a minute ago. I should have just done this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to data. I'm going to press refresh all, and that's what we're going to do. I've done it wrong. I'm going to fix it quick. Basically, I need to get rid of this. And I need to go to developer. See, I've done a mistake. And I'm going to go to macros. We're going to go to refresh, and we're going to delete that one in there because I got it wrong. And we're just going to go to record macro. I'm going to call it refresh again. Apologies for that mistake in there. But it's better off being transparent so you can see all the mistakes. And then what we can do, we can go to data, and then we can go to refresh all, right? Okay. Now let that run for a second or two. And once it's done, we're then going to go back to developer. I'm going to press stop recording. And now if we go to macros and we go to refresh and then edit, it should just refresh all active things, okay? So we're going to save that, and then we're going to close it. In there, perfect. Now what we're going to do is then we're going to do insert, and then we're going to put the button in there now. Make the button just here. And we're going to have this for set equal to refresh, okay. And we're going to name this, and we're going to call this button select league, okay? Because we've selected the league we want. So we want to select that league. And now if we press that button, so say we change this league equal to Italy. We've done Italy. No, we haven't. We'll do England. Select the league. Let it refresh itself. Then Once that's run, we can go to these columns over here once it's updated, and you should see Arsenal against, I don't know, Chelsea. Oh, I've done it wrong. Oh my days, I've selected Arsenal. Arsenal, Chelsea, bam, updates like that. 1-1 is expected, but Arsenal should be the dominant team. So there you go. Now what we're doing is reading it in live from the web, which is way, way quicker. I'm going to sit there and automatically put all of this data in there, which is a right annoying time, realistically. But we don't want to just choose the teams. We want them to be even better than that. So we're going to go to URL and we're going to do something else again. So we're going to make another URL table. And this time, we want the hyperlink to be to a list that has all of the games on it. So we want to go to, we'll find you the exact one we want. So if we go back to the home page for the Premier League, this is the latest. I think we want the one called results. So if I'm gonna find the exact one we want. So if I change latest to equal results, and there you go. Now we have a list of all the games, okay, that are up and coming. So this is the ones. This says November, but this will obviously always update the ones that are coming up soon. So you can see here a list of all the games that are coming up. So we want the exact same thing as before. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to here. We're gonna copy this URL over, but we're gonna change table to equal results. Okay. So Control A, copy, and then obviously go to here, and we're gonna paste, and we're gonna change table equal to results. Again, we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to make this make this into a table in there. And then we're going to do the exact same process again. So we're going to go to data, and then we're going to go to from table and range. Then what we're going to do, this is called table number 6, just for reference. What we're going to do first, we're going to go to table 1, just to show you why I'm going to do this. We're going to go advanced editor, and we're going to copy this over to save us typing it all again. And we're going to go to table 6. We're going to go to advanced editor on this one. We're going to press the exact same thing there. So we're going to copy it right over and just change table 1 equal to table number 6. And then we're going to press done. And then it should load itself. Now what we want is a list of all the games. So I'm not sure which date it was going to be. So we're going to have to look through all of them. See, so probably the first one in there, I think it is. Let's double check what the rest of them are. Yeah, perfect. So we want this first table here. So we're going to press that, add as new query, which will be data 3, and then we're going to go home, and then we're going to press close and load in there. And now table data 3 should now open itself. But we're going to call this upcoming fixtures, upcoming games. So now we've got a list of all the games that are up and coming in that league. All we've got to do now is you've got to just set the teams and the days. So again, I'm going to just close this table 6 thing because we don't need that anymore. So we're going to just hide that. What I'm going to do is we're going to go to the dashboard and we're going to let the people pick the date they want. So date. We want date to essentially equal. We're going to go back to data and we're going to let them do a drop down list, right? And we want a list, but for the list we want u equals unique. And we want the unique values from upcoming games, column A. Actually, we'll just do A1 down to A32, which should be the list of all the upcoming games enough. And I press OK, and we'll press yes, and then we'll see if this works. If that doesn't work, I'll fix that just now. Okay, so yeah, that was my fault. I did in the wrong order. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick first. So we're going to press OK there. We're going to close down this side. Next to upcoming games, we're going to open a new sheet, which we're going to call upcoming games filter, okay? Because we don't want the games in that, as in the days in this one. Sorry, I didn't call it the right name. Filter. Because we don't want the days coming up in like Sun 12th, Sun Saturday, whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this formula that I'm going to get on the screen just now. So we're going to go to column K. Then we'll go to column L, and what we're going to do is unique equals unique. That's what I was going to do before. And we're going to take the unique values of upcoming games. We want column number A, okay? because this is all the unique values of the days, and press OK, and that'll give us all of these values in there. See, we don't want this column 1 and column 0, so we're going to set this equal to A3 to A1000, because chance of having 1000 games is so slim, and this should do Saturday the 4th to Sunday or Monday the 27th, whatever. Then we're going to use this cool little formula I'm going to put on screen now in the column K. So I'm going to just copy and paste it in there. And this basically means if error, we want the date value, then mid L1, so obviously L1 is the current date we've got. 4 is the start number. The number of characters we want is obviously the length of this, obviously. And what this will do is convert this to the date type of like that, okay? I'm going to just copy and paste this all the way down. And you're thinking at the minute, what the hell am I doing? But what we can do now is we go to here, where is it? There you go. And we're going to go in the type of date that we want. And we're going to go to, basically we want to get custom format. So we're going to go to more number formats. And then we want to go to date. Okay, and we want it in the form like 14/03/12. So we're going to press that in there. That should give us like whatever the date is in there, as you can see. So now we've got the date in an actual format, which is a lot easier for the user to see. Okay, so what we're going to do now is obviously to fill all this in, searching by the games on the day that the user has picked. But first, of course, we've got to let the user pick the date. So we're going to go back to the data tab on the first page, data validation. I'm going to do list. Then the list obviously is the source from upcoming games filter, and we want these values here in K. So we're going to just do that. Press OK, and that'll let us pick the days of the upcoming games, like we want, so the 4th of the 11th. But again, we need to format this, so we go back to here. We want this to be more number formats. We want date, and then we want just like this, again, as we just saw there. So we can get all the days in there that we want, as we can see there. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do the upcoming games filter, okay? And we're going to filter the upcoming games section using the following formula. So we're going to do equals filter, and then obviously we want to filter the upcoming games table. So whatever this is called, so we're going to do the array data __ 3, and then we want to filter that by basically if the column 1 of this, that'll be all the way down to there, is equal to, and then go back to the dashboard and equal to this value here in M7, okay? Close that over, and then we should get, well, calc, but I'll fix that. And as you can imagine, that is because we've obviously called it the wrong name, okay? So what we're going to do is, we've searched for it in this form rather than this form. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to go over here, and we're going to go to our dashboard, and essentially what we're going to do is just get the format that they wanted it, so equals X lookup, and we're going to look up the value that they've chosen from our upcoming games filter, so that'll be in this column, and we're going to return this column over here, and that should give us, there you go, Saturday the 4th of November. And then what we can do is go back to the upcoming games filter and go back to this A1 bit here, and rather than having dashboard M7, we can now have dashboard, and it will be 07 in there. As you can see, there you go, there's all the games for Saturday that will be played with, well, on Saturday in the Premier League. Then what we can do is in column J, we can get essentially the fixture, so equals concat. We want text 1, comma, then space, dash, space, close that, comma, D1, and that should give us it in the form of Fulham, dash, dash, Man United. Copy that all the way down for all of these. And there you go. So what we'll do is obviously we'll do this all the way down to the bottom, just in case, because we don't know how many games we're going to get on that day. In the same sense for this, so we're going to just copy this all the way down. I probably should have done that a moment ago. So we'll copy this all the way down, just in case we end up having a lot of games that day. I mean, 50 is a bit excessive, but you get the point. So now what we're going to do is we should be able to look at the games that are upcoming. So then in here, we can go back to our dashboard, and we have Chelsea Arsenal. We can now get rid of that data validation. So we go back to data, We can get rid of that data validation in there. We can clear all. And we can do the same for Chelsea here. We can get rid of that as well. Clear all. Okay. What we're going to do now is instead we're going to have a section over here where we can put select game. So select game. Then in here, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger to make it easier. There you go. Perfect. What we're going to do is we're going to have a drop down list here. So data validation list. And the source, of course, is going to be upcoming games filter. And we want column J. Okay. And this should give us a list of all the games that we have in there. So say we choose Fulham versus Manchester United. What we're then going to do is we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. And this just equals text split. So we're going to go equals text split this bit here. And our column delimiter is going to be that. And then if we close that, we get Fulham and Manchester United in there. And it all updates for you in there. So that's exactly how we're going to do it. So then that means now what we've done is we've essentially been able, if we hide all of these, we can now literally just have the dashboard. And without anything else, it should automatically update in there. So what I need to do is if I change this, we'll change the date to, let's say I change the date to the 5th. This should give us a new list of games. So if I go here, Sunday the 5th, Luton versus Liverpool, and it updates. But if I want to change the league, let's say I change the league to France like we did before, I'm going to go select league. It should now automatically update. And then what we can do is we can choose the date that we want once this finishes running that query. There you go. What dates can we pick? Can we pick the 5th? We'll pick the 4th. Go on the 4th, and we can pick any of these games. That's not updated just yet. So this is running back on query. I was wondering why it wasn't working there. And we have low battery, so this is a good time just to wrap up the video. And you can see here we have Lorient versus Lens or whatever, which should now update. Perfect. Or if we go to the Friday, PSG Montpellier, I think it was. And here's the beauty. So if we open this alongside the one we had before, so if we go to here and we were to go to the user dashboard, in there, what you can see, PSG versus Montpellier. Let's just get the correct score opened up again to make sure it's definitely right. And look at that, 0.44, 0.103, and all of that is done completely manually. So automatically, because we're only changing this little section here. And there you go, in less than an hour, you've made your own thing from scratch. The only thing now would be to essentially make the user dashboard. So we could make it in the format that we had for this one over here. And that would be you completely done, which is absolutely insane because you've already got all of this data here. So you've got the over and under, and you have the home, away, and draw. The both deems to score, you have that in here. And you even have the correct score marker all in there on here as well. So there you go. In less than an hour, you've made your own thing that literally reads in data in real time. Obviously, to convert these all to odds, all you've got to do is just want reciprocal. So if we want, for example, the odds of all the score lines, what's the odds of a 0-0? We just equal 1 over that. So odds should be 22.67. So I hope that helps you guys. Obviously, in terms of designing it, you can do whatever you want. I have creative freedom. I made this sort of design where obviously just remember when you are designing stuff like this, you've got this cool thing where you can just, if we go back to the home, this is the issue with filming, you can merge your cells in there. So say I want these cells all to be together, I can just merge the cells, hence I can have multiple together, which is how I get this cool little design when I've got all this. So when I zoom in, it looks a lot more user-friendly in there, but it's all just the same sort of design as what we just made in there in less than an hour. And as I say again, you can literally change this to anything. So we change this to the different day. So we could pick the 12th of the 11th. The games are all of these games, and it should all update based off that. I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. Sorry it's a bit longer, obviously it's a big follow along. Hopefully taught you guys how to do stuff from scratch. And yeah, please like and subscribe. And then if you want any more of these, obviously part 2 is coming tomorrow. I'll be developing this a lot more to show you how you can do your whole automation system to get it all running for you in there as well. Thanks for watching.